Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome to another episode of this blockchain series. Today we will be talking about proof of work. Another concept that was mentioned in previous videos, and today we'll dive deeper on this. So let's jump into the notebook. We have proof of work. Here we have. Okay. In the previous video, I said proof of work was a mechanism to slow down the creation of new blocks, but it also can be viewed as a consensus protocol. And just like a small recap, you know that blockchain is a public distributed ledger, so basically it is just a giant list of transactions. Let me erase this. That are just divided in blocks. So you have a block here with transactions, it's connected to another block, transactions, another block, transactions. And the proof of work enters in a process where new blocks are being created. So we have here just like a small blockchain, and there are a set of nodes, specific nodes in the blockchain that are called miners. And their job is to validate the network, but they also have a goal, which is to create new blocks, because that's how they get paid basically, or rewarded. So each miner here in the network, they want to add another block. Let me add here. That's the new block. So each of these nodes is competing against each other, basically. So why are they competing? Because they get two things. They get block reward and fees. Let me rewrite that. Transaction fees. And what do they need to do in order to add another block into the blockchain? Well, let me see if I can zoom. Okay. They have to solve a cryptographic puzzle. Ooh. Let me draw a puzzle thing. Okay. This is so bad. But they need to solve a cryptographic puzzle. And nowadays, it's really expensive to solve this puzzle. So expensive in a way that you need to spend a lot of energy or electricity. So expensive. Just draw something here. Expensive. So let's imagine that there's something weird about this block. It has something malicious. So someone wants to break this chain. The thing is that this is not going to be validated by the rest of the nodes, and I erased the network. So the rest of the nodes are not going to validate this, and a miner basically pays up front. And the only way to get rewarded or to profit from this is to get things right and get the right block, so they can win the block reward and the transaction fees. And now let's move into a more specific thing, which is the math behind this hash. Behind math in proof of work. And we'll be talking about hashes, which is something that we discussed in the previous episode. Hash function. So if you haven't watched it, consider watching it back or replay it if you don't remember. Actually, just let me erase everything so we have a bit more of space. So if you remember if you watched the previous video or if you just know these concepts, we already know what is SHA-256 hash function. So you put here some data or some information, and you get a hash, which is a really big number that works as a fingerprint. Let me write here fingerprint. And you also know from previous videos that each block has a different hash. Hash, let's call it hash 1, hash 2, hash 3. And if you change anything of this block, this hash will be another one. And the following blocks will be invalid in the blockchain. But there's another thing inside of each block. So you have the transactions. You know from previous videos that you have the hash of the block, you have the previous hash, and you have the data, or in this case the list of transactions, so to speak. But this isn't entirely true, because each block has the previous hash, it has the transaction list, and it has something called, let me maybe write in a different color, nonce. Oops, it's misspelled, sorry. Because if you say it nonce, it's called nonce. And all of this will give the hash of the block. So basically the blocks have their own transaction list that they want to be validated and collect the fees of those transactions. And they also have the previous hash of the blockchain. So let's imagine that the blockchain is right here like this. They have, and they want to be the next one. They want to be the next one. They have the information of the previous hash, transaction list, and they need to solve this nonce, which is basically what they are trying to compute or calculate in this cryptographic puzzle. And this varies from the difficulty in the network. So let's imagine that in the network there are a lot of miners, versus a network that has only a few working for that block. Here it's going to be, let me zoom in, here it's going to be easier. Oops. Easier. And they should be all connected, but you know, let me write here. You get the point, right? Yes. Hard. Okay, sorry for my handwriting. So it's easier here because there's less miners trying to compete for the next block here. So this value, the nonce, it's going to be easier to calculate, because they need to compare these nonce to something that it's called a target. And I wanted to draw a target, literally target. So if it is easier, you can see that the target, so imagine, I think it's here, the representation is going to be easier to understand. If it's easier and their goal is to be below target, probably should write this. So this nonce, goal, the nonce, I think it's this one. Nonce needs to be lower than target. And then if they manage to calculate this nonce faster, they can find a nonce that is smaller than the target. That is because they have the information of that target. They will have their block added to the blockchain, and therefore getting the block reward and the transaction fees. So if it's easier, that means the target, it's going to be a really high number. So target here. So it's going to be easier, it's going to be all this space to guess the nonce. While in a more hard network with a lot more participants and more miners trying to deduce, target is going to be a smaller number, so they need to be only here. You can see this distance, and if you compare all this distance here with this one is way easier to calculate. And you might be thinking, well, this is really stupid, so basically what you're telling me is that miners are always trying to keep like calculating these nonce over and over and over again until they get it right or below that target. Well, yeah, that's basically what happens, and this is a way to make them spend a lot of electricity, so they pay the costs up front, so they will be incentivized to do to mine the right to do the right thing, so to speak, or not to try to do something malicious in the network because they want to get the hash, the block reward and the transaction fees. So that's how they ensure this security measure. We already discussed the other ones like the hashes, the decentralization and stuff like that. So if you like this video, if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments and we'll see each other next time. Bye.